everyone, and welcome to the Dancing Bear Enlightenment Academy Holistic Transformation Podcast. Today we have a wonderful guest speaker, Leni Cavazos. Hopefully I said it right. She is a retreat and event planner. She is a marketing and strategy expert and conscious event curator with over 18 years of experience. Her specialty is producing hybrid events, private retreats, niche masterclasses, educational conferences, and immersive experiences from head to toe. And today she will talk to us about how did I get to plan a retreat for Joe Dispenza. Wow, welcome, Leni.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Beverly. I'm so excited to get to spend some time with you today. You know, we connected the other day and it was just awesome. And I'm so happy to be back here with you.
Well, we're very happy to have you. And that's quite a bit of a long experience. I mean, not just events, but you do conferences and you immerse people and you teach classes. It's really awesome. So tell us about this retreat you planned for Joe.
Well, it was a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago. And it was just such an amazing experience because I got to plan this private retreat for Joe Dispenza for 72 people. But the most amazing part of how I got to plan it, it was actually how did it happen? Because I was just like in this world I was like still figuring out exactly what I was doing. I was already planning retreats. It was just happening on its own, but I was not sure or certain that's exactly what I wanted to do. I also was exploring so many other options because I have, you know, when you have so many other expertises, it's sometimes hard to choose one to focus on. And I was just like, what should I be doing? You know, and I was like, well, I definitely want to have a business that is connected with like my business acumen, my expertise, all the business mindset behind it, and then my spiritual life. And I was like, okay, this is one of the things that really has to be there for sure. So I already discarded quite a few options on what to do and how to do it. So I was like, okay, it has to be within the spiritual realm. And then I felt I still had a disconnect from my rational mind and my heart. There was something missing. Like my heart and me, we were experiencing magic. Like magical things were happening. I was manifesting things in 2 hours. Like it was crazy. You know, it was kind of like a wild ride. I was going for retreats once a week. Really, I dove deep into like the whole transformational process and to understand what was happening there from the side of being a retreater, and then what would happen also from the side of being a retreater, right? A retreat leader. So I was like, okay, I'm missing something. And I was walking down the aisle of the supermarket and I was like, I really want to work with Dr. Joe Dispenza because I'm missing the bridge between my rational mind and my heart. And I really wanted to understand. And it was just one sentence that I just thought. I didn't even say it out loud. And I just let it go. I was like, okay, maybe I'll go to one of his retreats for 1,500 people. And that's it. You know, I didn't know how it was going to look like. It was just a desire that I had. And 3 weeks later, one of my clients came to me and she's like, hey, I want to bring Dr. Joe Dispenza to Mexico for a private retreat. Would you plan it for me? And I was just like, what? I was shocked. I was like, Joe Dispenza, are you sure? Is this really like what you're saying? And I'm like, okay, yes. I had no idea. I was just like, okay, I had no idea for how many people it would be. I didn't ask for any details. I just knew I had to do it. You know, I was just like, I'm on this boat with you. Let's do this. So we started going through the whole proposal and creating everything for him to first of all, say yes to come and be in this retreat for us. And then also the other side of like, how would the experience look like? Where would it take place? For how many people would it go? Do we have to create, because we wanted to do it in this place, Tepoztlan is like a very high energetic center in Mexico, but the hotels, the largest one has, I think, 30 rooms. So we wanted to have like around 60. At the end, we had 72 people attending. That is like a magical number. So we were like, this is exactly how it was supposed to be. But we were like, okay, so do we create liaisons with hotels? How do we manage the whole part of transportation? What about the meals? How do we make sure we cater for everyone? How do we support the whole transition of being in a retreat for Dr. Joe Dispenza that is still quite luxurious because it's very, very private. Not everyone comes. How do we manage everything that it comes from? Because it's an invitation only kind of event. Like it's not, there was never a website for it. There was just a PDF that was sent across people. And if they wanted to ask someone else to come, they had to go through a scrutiny process because it was just very, very special. And I was like, okay, so I just embarked in the whole journey of going there and really feeling in what was supposed to happen, not really from a space of like, this is the step 1, step 2, step 3, but really like, what do the people who are coming to this retreat will need? Most of the people were coming from abroad. So we had the whole thing about they needed COVID tests for them to be able to go back to the States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like there was a lot of support. Like I spent time with some of the people coming, like with one, I spent like an hour just talking because he was like, oh my gosh, are you sure Mexico is safe? Can I really travel there? Why is the airport in Mexico City inside of Mexico City and not outside of the city like every other airport in the world? And I was just like, well, it was one at one point, but now
the city grew.
City grew. So, like, so all these kind of questions and managing all these expectations for people to come, because the price was like, I think it was almost 5,000 just for the ticket, plus accommodation, plus meals, plus everything else, and plus the ticket for Dr. Joe. So you were spending around 10K for you to come and experience Dr. Joe in a very private setting, but there were Q&A sessions that he never opens up to the public. People were dining with him on his same table. So it was really a niche experience that was not able for available in a general event where he holds space for 1,500 people, like his retreats he plans in Cancun or in Denver and in Florida and so many other places of the world. So it had to be very, very special, and everything had to work in order, and it for it to really flow. And it turned out to be great because because of all the experience for me, I kind of like close my eyes and be like, okay, so what do I need to do to make sure that this works out and people are super excited and happy, and they get to create connections with other people and really spend quality time during these 5 days. And I was just like, okay, so everything went so well that of course I had the opportunity to be part of the retreat myself and do all the meditations, because I was going to be part of, like, I had the open floor for me to join and experience it. But if I didn't plan my retreat properly, I wouldn't be able to, because I would have to be outside making sure the catering is ready. If there's a break, then the food is out there, there's water, there's all these little details. But once you go ahead and you really put your heart out there, and then the tools to actually make it successful, you can really be in a retreat and just be like, okay, so it's coffee break, I'm going to check that everything is in order for the next session. And that was it, working with people, creating this, building this trust with your suppliers to make sure that they're taking care of you and making sure that everything is happening on time. So that's kind of it.
So how has doing this affected you personally?
Well, first of all, I created this bridge between my rational mind and my heart. That was exactly the reason why this came into my life, right? One of the reasons. Of course, the other one was to really show me that retreat planning is where I was supposed to focus my energy. But first of all, I created this bridge between my rational mind and my heart, and it just connected in such a beautiful way that now when I meditate, I don't have these voice. Well, sometimes I do, but most of the times I don't, saying, why is this happening? Why is your body bubbling? Why are you feeling these movements of energy inside of your body? Like, these questions don't happen. It's now more like, oh, okay, it's happening now. Great. And it's just like, it's an easier way for me to do it because my rational mind is so awake, right? I'm like hyper mind.
I can't tell.
I'm hyper-minded, but at the same time, my heart is so wide open now that I'm just like, okay, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly where I'm supposed to go. So first of all, that was the biggest one. And then I also learned so much about neuroplasticity and all the science behind meditation, right? So this was on the personal level that really improved my practice and helped me really create this business that I have now, because it's very heart-centered. There is all the mind part, where is the tools and the techniques of how you plan a retreat and where do you choose the perfect location and the meals and the itinerary, but it's all led by the heart, by your purpose of why do you want to host a retreat, right? Why do you want to, what transformation do you want to create for the people who are coming to your retreat? I call them retreaters. So that's I call them that. But your clients, your audience, you can name it as you wish. It doesn't make much of a difference. But what transformation do you want to create for them? How do you support their process throughout the retreat? And then also thinking about how do you support it afterwards? That is something that most of the people planning retreats are not really taking care of. But if you really care about the people who are joining your retreat, you want them to be able to be part of this.
You didn't hear my dog, did you?
No.
Oh, good. Because he's going crazy right now because there's a dog across the street barking.
No.
Sorry. I just, if we are going to pause it, if you could hear him, he's really loud.
No.
So you don't just plan retreats, though. Don't you also teach people how to host a retreat?
Yes, I do. And I love it. I think now I enjoy it more than planning retreats, if I have to be very honest. I love hosting retreats and planning retreats for other people, but as long as they have the right information to do it. If I teach them the tools on how to do it, they can do it by themselves. And the way I do it is that I help them create a framework that they can replicate in the future. And then they can expand and then they can grow. But if I only go and execute a retreat for them, then they don't know how to do it later on. And then, okay, fine, they need to keep hiring me. And this might be a beautiful opportunity for me in the sense of like, I keep planning retreats, but where is really the impact behind that? How do I get to touch more people? It's by teaching them how to do what I do.
Well, that's why all of us teach. You have a bigger impact by helping others. And I really liked what you said about what's the impact you want the retreat to have on people. And of course, that's, when you have a course, it's the same thing. What transformation do you want people to have? So that's really important. And you're so young, to have that wisdom. It's really awesome.
Thank you so much for that. I started planning events when I was 15 years old. So I've been I had a passion for events since I'm super, super young. And I actually started planning more things like for weddings. And I was first a hostess and then a supervisor. And then, I just kept going and going and going. And it all led to the path of when I was in Marriott working for the Office for Middle East and Africa. The events that I was planning were not just events anymore, because I was working for the loyalty marketing program because we launched Marriott Bonvoy. It was all about creating connections. And that's when the events that I was planning were no longer events anymore. They were experiences.
Wow, that's really awesome.
I feel the excitement in my body because I love it so much. And then from those experiences, now I got to make it conscious experiences, right? Where you're conscious about what transformation you want to create on people and what you want them to get out of that. And how do you make that happen?
Wow. How do you make it happen?
Well, first of all, you need to be very aware of yourself, where you're at, right? Where is your purpose? Where do you want to go? And it doesn't mean that you need to have a very, very extremely clear purpose of where you want to be in 30 years, 10 years, even in the next 3 years. That's not really that necessary. You just need to know where are you at this point right now where you can help other people. If we keep waiting, and today I was writing some copy for my social media, and I was writing something, it was about procrastination and perfectionism. And as I said, I'm a very rational mind focused person. I try not to be. So I am a very perfectionist person. And now I'm actually unlearning that. I'm going through the path of like imperfect is perfect, right?
Right.
So if we keep waiting for the time where we're perfect to teach others, then we are just stopping our path. And I don't mean that every single person is meant to be planning retreats, because not everyone is meant to be planning retreats. Some people are better in online courses. Some people are better in one-on-one scenarios. You need to find which one is the one that really is aligned with who you are. Because when you, like, let's say you're great on camera, on your online courses, but then you don't know how to hold space for people in person because you've never done it before, right? It's something that you've never done before because maybe you started to be a coach during the pandemic, so everything was virtual, like, because it's a possibility. Or you were always doing one-to-one and you never had group experiences.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know how to hold space for people. So if you don't know how to hold space for people in a room for 1 hour, 3 hours, 5 hours, how are you supposed to hold space for a group of people for a couple of days? 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be drained, and you're going to hate retreats. And you're going to be like, I don't want to do this ever again because it took me 2 weeks to recover energetically and my mind and my heart because I was not ready for that. So we need to be very mindful of where are our strengths and what are we prepared to be doing. Like when I was launching my program, that is like my signature program, that is really like the full picture. It's called Mastering the Art of Retreat Planning, because I see it as an art, not just as a technique. I interviewed over 100 people that wanted to plan retreats or were planning retreats, because I was like, okay, I want to figure out like what is exactly what people are looking for in the conscious mind, and what is really in the subconscious that we need also to keep in mind. Most of the people in the conscious mind are thinking, how do I price it? How do I sell it? But there's underlying parts when it comes to this. There's energetic levels that we need to take into consideration, limiting beliefs that we have impregnated from our childhood, 7 generations behind. If you consider Native American tradition, like I do, I really feel that it's like you have it from so many lives before. Then this will stop you, and this won't let you price it or sell it or anything like this. So there is a subconscious belief behind that we need to address. So that's why when I talk to people and I teach, it's all about the underlying part. How do we discover what's underneath that is not allowing us to really fulfill what we're supposed to do? But also I've met people who wanted to be part of my course, and they were saying, okay, so you're going to teach me how to sell, and you're going to sell my retreat. And I'm like, wait. And that was the first question when we got on the call. And I'm like, wait, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, right? I need to get to know you, because this approach is really is very special for me. And I want to make sure that the people who take it are the right people to take it. It's not out there in the open for every single person just because they have the money to pay for it. It's more about them really having the right purpose, so their money is well spent, and they learn also exactly what they need, right? So I was like, okay, so tell me, how long have you been a yoga teacher? 6 months. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this is it. You're not part of the people I want to teach, because you're not ready. Come back in 4 years when you actually have a practice, because your aim is to make money, not to create transformation in people, number one. And number two, you're not seasoned enough to really be able to hold space for a group of people. So it would be in disservice to the humanity for me to teach you how to do it in a way when you're not ready.
Yeah, I've done until I went online, all of my teaching, decades of teaching, was live. And a lot of people now do these workshops, and you can't even see the audience. You know what I mean? You don't even interact with each other except through chat. I don't like that at all. When I do my classes, I do them on Zoom, but I display all the students so I can see all their faces, because I want to know who I'm talking to and how they're reacting, and if they have questions, because I like to answer in the moment. Because you say, ask me that again at the end of the day, or in 20 minutes. They forgot the question. They don't even remember why they asked it. So I prefer to be more interactive, which is a whole different way of teaching than when you do a webinar or something.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I am the same way. Like when I run a course, I ask them to have their camera on, because also the energy of you being present. If you're in my course and you're in between WhatsApps and taking a nap, it's not really serving you, and it's not really serving the group, because we are all in the course together. We're there for all of us to grow together. Maybe I have a little bit more expertise than them when they join the course, but their expertise, their experience, and what they bring into the table is as important as what I bring into the table, right?
And the questions they ask and the interaction. And I do a lot of group exercises too, where I pair them up and they start doing exercises together. So you have to be present, even if it's on Zoom. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, when I have a call or something, that's what I do. I close my email, I close my WhatsApp. I don't work during meetings.
My phone is off. Even the sound is off. So I not only mute it, I turn sound off. So even if I got a text message that buzzes me, I won't even hear the buzz. Because I just don't want to be interrupted when I'm doing something. And if you take a class and you're not willing to do that, why are you taking the class?
Exactly. Yeah, that's why all my courses, even if I have some items that are pre-recorded, because sometimes, for example, I have a return of investment calculator that I created for retreat planning, and it's amazing. But if I teach it during the class, just during the class, people tend to have questions, and it's a little bit complicated. Sometimes you need to go back. Not everyone uses Excel as proficiently as others. So some people are like, okay, let's get over with it because I understand. And the other ones are like, no, I need a little bit more time. So I have some pre-recorded trainings so they can go back to it and be like, okay, so now I really need to, I want to utilize it. And then when I'm utilizing it, I can have the video there live going with me as I go through the process, right? So it's kind of like
a training. It's better to do it on video so people can go at their own pace and they can repeat what they need to repeat, and it doesn't disrupt the whole class. I agree with you on that one. Yeah.
But that makes just one part of my courses. In every course that I run, there is live sessions. And even if it's something is pre-recorded, there's always an option for them to book a call with me and be like, okay, I have questions. This is the type of level of service that I want to offer.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is what I like to get.
Yeah, that's important. That's important. I agree with you. That's really great. Well, it sounds like you've really got your act together.
I love it. As long as there's passion and focus.
When I'm ready to do an event, I'm going to hire you to take your class.
Yes, please do. I will be so happy to have you there because you're such a beautiful soul. And, I can feel that you do things from a place of passion and heart, not just for the sake of doing it.
No, there's no point in doing something for the sake of doing it.
I know so many people that do. Like most of my friends are not in the spiritual world, my friends from high school and all this. They're like, you're not supposed to like your job. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I loved every single job that I had.
You have to like your job or you're doing the wrong job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, maybe you're in the wrong place. I have a friend, he wants to be a writer, right? So he's like, I do this because I'm good at it, and it pays the bills. So then in my spare time, I can write my novels. I'm like, okay, well, grow your novels until a point where you can leave that job and be happy just being a writer.
Yeah, my family's upset because I won't retire. Why don't you retire? I said, why should I? I'm having fun.
Yes. And I don't know. Yeah, I've met a lot of people who that after they retired, they really went downwards. because there was no more purpose. There was no more reason to wake up and wear a suit. So now you're wearing pajamas and then so you're binge watching Netflix, you know?
Well, actually, I'm wearing flip-flops. You can't see my feet. There are advantages to Zoom. So you have a free gift for our audience, your brand new method to price and sell. Tell us about that.
Yes. So this ebook, I really got very inspired to write it because I wanted to make sure that I could share 3 very key steps when it comes to when you're planning a retreat that will positively impact how you sell and price your retreats, but from an energetic standpoint. So we talk about in the beginning about how so many times we don't consider all these additional expenses when you're planning a retreat. So how we can go backwards and really envision our retreat and then find all these little additional expenses that they add up. And sometimes it makes you not to break even on your retreat or even lose money because you didn't plan for them, and how you find them in this way that is just about like, and then at the same time, you're already living your retreat, right? So you're making it a reality. You're walking on the shoes of a retreat already happening and really envisioning it with all the details. And then we go from there to the part of like how to find the right pricing. Like, how do you find it? Because so many times we can go through these calculators and be this is the price you're supposed to sell. Or you do your market research and you're like, this is the price you're supposed to sell because everyone else is selling at this price point. Does this really make sense? At the end of the day, if you don't believe it, it's not gonna work. So, you know, and I talk about this story about Picasso and a few things more. And then there is a technique that it's with muscles kind of reflection, you know, and then you
Muscle
can figure
testing,
out
yeah.
muscle testing. Yeah. And you can figure out if the price that you're selling is the right price for you. So it's quite interesting because like really it takes you through the steps of finding this place where you feel comfortable, and then things will sell so much better. Like the reality is that when we go through this process and we don't know exactly how we feel inside of ourselves and our subconscious and our beliefs, it's so crazy. Like I used to do theta healing sessions for quite some time to figure out a few things in my life. And one day a belief came and I was like, really, is this true? And it was a fear of success, right? So I'm like, not fear of failing. It was fear of being successful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this a real thing? So really finding from
A lot
within.
of people have that fear of finding out how powerful they are.
Exactly. So once you go really within and then you find out what is the price that you're supposed to be charging that really feels good with you, everything just flows in a beautiful way. And the last part, I'm not going to spoil it so people can get it and really, really read it in depth and figure it out how it works. But it's just really 3 very, very key points that it makes a difference when you're planning a retreat. And it's not just about me telling you, oh, go to this page and then put your retreat there. Because if your price is not aligned, you can put it in 1,000 websites. Nothing will happen. You can spend thousands of dollars on Facebook ads. Nothing is going to happen.
Nice. So do you have any closing remarks for our audience?
Well, yeah. Just top of my mind, I would say if you're ready to embark on the journey of retreat planning, make sure that your heart is all in. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience to create this transformation and to see how people change their lives when they're with you. But make sure you're making it from a place of consciousness and really the awareness of the responsibility that you have as a retreat leader with the people coming to your retreat. There's so much going on outside in the world, and people are suffering through trauma and very, very deep beliefs that you need to be ready for them, to be able to hold space for them and to care for them and to really take them into the next level from a place of heart. Forget about the money that you're going to make when you're planning a retreat. put that on the side, make it your thing that is going to come on its own because you're fulfilling your purpose and you're helping other people. It's just the aftermath. It's not the real reason why you should be hosting a retreat. If it's not, go back and find out why are you focused more on the money and the financial set of a retreat rather than the transformation. And I'm sure if you ask yourself why 5 times, you're going to find all the answers that you need.
Oh, nice advice. So I forgot I forgot to tell people the link. So if you're on YouTube, it'll be down below. But if you're listening, the link is retreats101 and then it's her name, Leni Cavazos, LENICAVAZ is in zebra os.com. So it's retreat101.LeniCavazos. Okay, I just LENICAVAZOS.com. I just butchered your name. I'm sorry.
It's okay. If you can't find that one, just go to my website that is called theretreatplanner.com and you'll have a link there to get the ebook.
The retreatplanner.com. That's a little easier to remember. Wonderful. Well, Leni, it's been great to have you. You're very wise for your age. And we look forward to working with you again in the future.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you. So thank you everyone for joining us, and help us out by subscribing to the channel. And remember to be the light you want to see in the world.